Hello everyone, it's your favorite nerdy suburban farmer. I'm back with another video. I have taken a break and not been in front of the camera because of my surgery, but my arm is healing well. I still have about 40 to 50% use out of my right arm, so getting in the garden and recording has been a bit of an issue. But I do have a early August update tour on my garden. A lot has changed, so I'm going to get into that now. So the arch trellis is one place that has changed. It's very bare right now, and I had a lot of issues with powdery mildew. You can see that I have spots that still have a lot of, or leaves that still have a lot of white spots. This whole side is pretty much covered in mildew, so I had to do quite an extensive clean out of everything here. It's still healthy. I still have a lot of fruit showing up, but I had to take a lot off of this side. So it looks pretty bare, but the other side, it looks much better. Over here, I do have 3 cantaloupe. These 2, I'm not sure if they will get to maturity, but I have one down here, which is very close to maturity, which I'm anxious to get to because it's my first one. I've moved the turmeric to under the trellis because with the removal of the excess leaves, it gets a good amount of sunlight, and I'm still trying to figure out what the turmeric prefers. It seems like it likes the heat, but not a lot of sun. So since it'll get dappled to full sun in here, I've left my 2 turmeric plants here. Now from this vantage point, you can see pretty much the amount of fruit that has grown. I've only collected 2 acorn squash, but I still have about 9 to 10 in here, and I still have more growing and coming up. It looks like I've only got about 3 Kajari that actually went to maturity, and I believe that has to be due to the acorn squash being so prolific that it might have prevented the Kajari from getting the sun and nutrients that it needed. So next year I'm going to plan this a lot differently. But I also in here I have about 7 acorn squash as well. 7 butternut squash as well in here. So overall, the trellis was a success. Being able to look up and see the back end of the leaves really helped with cutting down on the squash bug population. I could not get rid of the squash bug population completely, but I definitely noticed a big decrease in the numbers that I usually have because it was up here on the trellis, and I kept on top of getting rid of the leaves. My compost bed, my plan is to extend. This one is filled with everything from the trellis. I was able to use some of the compost I already have, and I'm starting a new bed over here. What I believe I'm going to do is extend off of the end and set up another part because I still have so many leaves and stalks that could be used for compost that this one bin is not going to be enough. Now if I turn over here, I've got my strawberry bed, and it looks like some of them are putting out new flowers. Most don't have flowers, they're putting out runners, but I'm cutting back on the runners as this is my first year. My plan for next year is to extend this strawberry patch a little bit wider to get the strawberries that are in the green stalk towers over here. For my preference, I found that the green stalk towers were not suitable for strawberries. In addition, I'm going for a second batch of onions. I don't know if I'll be successful, but I planted 2 different varieties of red and 2 different varieties of yellow onions in these 25-gallon bags. And I've got them covered by the netting because the cabbage looper moth, I believe that's what it's called, I don't want that to get in and lay any eggs and damage anything. Here I planted a second crop of carrots. Now this is my first time using compost that I made, and I'm finding I have a lot of stowaways that are not carrots or not what I planted. But the carrots came up within a week of planting, so I'm going to also have another batch of these here. Now this cucumber plant I planted as a backup. My cucumbers this year didn't really do too well, and I was hoping that I could plant a secondary batch over here. So far I've gotten misformed fruit. I don't know if these spots on the leaves have anything to do with it, but I am getting some pollinators still in here. So I've got 3 on here, maybe 4 that I'm hoping do form. And then this squash, this zucchini, I made a bit of a mistake with. I was trying to trim it and I cut off the growing ends. So I only have one side of it growing now, and it has a zucchini on here, but it's still growing, still happy and producing, so I'm gonna let it go until it dies off. In here, I've planted 8 replacement sunflowers. With the thunderstorms we've had here in central Jersey, the rain took out a lot of my really tall sunflowers. You can see that my sunflowers are probably somewhere around 9 to 10 foot tall. So when the winds came in from the storms, it blew them over and they started hanging. So I'm hoping these transplants will replace them and add something for the pollinators, which I have a lot of.
Unfortunately, at this point, the audio quit. I didn't realize that my camera was overheating, so it stopped taking input, and then shortly after, the video stopped as well. So this video is continued. You'll notice that the day has changed, the clothes have changed, but technical difficulties and thunderstorms contributed to having to extend this video over multiple days.
And over here, since I took the panel out, I can open up and show how many habaneros I have. Now habaneros, if you've never grown them, are a late season bloomer. They really like the heat, so they'll start turning colors in August. Also over here, I have jalapeno, which are turning on the vine. I don't typically let them stay on the vine until they turn, but I had this area closed off by a cattle panel, so I couldn't really get in here, but now that I've moved it, it's a lot easier to see some of the fruit. But this is a really hot day, so the leaves are a little turned down because of the heat. Are you still with me? So here's the sweet potatoes, the 4 bags of sweet potatoes, which look really well. They were hit pretty hard, it looks like, by the bugs. They had holes, but they're coming back. They're nice and green. And I have trimmed them back a couple times. They're not as lush as they could be because I didn't want them all in the walkways. Them trim around the edges only to where they stay out of the aisles. And then this is Tabasco Row. These as well are late bloomers. They don't start turning until the heat comes, so I'm just getting some red and orange, but there's still a lot of immature fruits, but I'm gonna have a ton of Tabasco from this section. And pivoting over here is the sweet pepper bed, which has been productive as well. The Hungarian yellow wax have been prolific. The Tangerine Dream over here have been prolific. This is the first year that I have had numerous bell peppers, and not the tangerine, these are sunbright. The sunbright are starting to turn color now. No, that one's not ready. So I've just got a lot of sweet peppers in here as well, and the shishito have been really prolific as well.
So unfortunately, there was yet another issue with the audio. So in this section, I was just explaining that I moved the green stalks to the concrete pad area to give it a bit more stability and to keep them close together. In the chocolate brown green stalk, I'm gonna put more herbs for the fall, like cilantro, basil, sage, some more mint. In the cranberry ones, my intention is to remove all the strawberries, put them into the strawberry patch, and then fill in with other herbs that I don't have. So next year maybe I'll have some dill, maybe I'll do some thyme and rosemary, but ultimately I'm going to remove all of the strawberries from the green stalk. Moving over to here, I noticed after I moved everything that one strawberry runner did plant itself into the Tabasco bed. I'm going to leave it there, see how it does. I'm not going to move it. And then in front of it, I planted some seeds for some nasturtiums to keep it out of the bed.
In this bed, I took out the lemon cucumber, rejuvenated the soil, and I planted carrots. And also these carrots came up as well. So in the next couple of days, I'm gonna be thinning out. And in this wheelbarrow where the one nasturtium was, I took the nasturtium out, revitalized the soil. The green that you see, if you can see the greenery, is actually nasturtiums. There were so many seed pods that I couldn't pull them all out. So I'm gonna have to manually go in and pick out the seed pods. It's a lavender bed, and I have a visiting pollinator on one of my marigolds. But this lavender bed has been successful. It smells really nice when you rub your hands through the shrub. But there's gonna be changes. These marigolds are gonna come out. I'm going to plant more so that this is solely a bed. Oh look, there's a butterfly too. But I'm leaving the marigolds because they do attract the bees and the butterflies here for now, but they are kind of crushing. So I don't know if all lavender grows as enormous as mine have because they're bushes, not plants, but they may need their own dedicated spot if you're trying to fit them into a space. Just put them by themselves. Over here on the straight trellis, I pulled out all of the cucumbers and petite melons that were over on the other end. They didn't have any flowers. They're really dark green. They turned a pale green and a yellow. So I thought it was best just to pull those out. The only thing that I still have left is some of the loofah gourd, which did not grow anything but one flower. So I don't know what I did wrong there. And I have 2 tiger melons and then 3 cream of the crop are still on the trellis. I have what I believe to be what's called sweet dumpling. It came in my packet of cream of the crop, but they are growing right here. There's 2, and then I have 3 more cream of the crop. So in total for right now, I have 6 cream of the crop on the vine and 2 sweet dumpling and 2 Tigger. My tomato crop was really green and lush beginning of July, but towards the end of July, a lot started to die back. And again, this was due to a lot of rain. So I still have some on this one, which I believe is a big rainbow. It was mislabeled, but this one came back some. But I had to pull out about 3 different plants, and I took a lot of leaves off of here as well too. So the Rutgers over there looks like it's bouncing back. The Roma looks like it's bouncing back. That Roma in the corner has a lot of young fruit on it, but I need to get in there and prune out a lot of the dead stuff that's in there as well. And on this side, my second tomato bed, the Roma is hanging over the side. I purposely hung it over the side to keep it clear of the plants inside. But again, a tremendous amount of dieback on my heirloom tomatoes. I'm hoping to get them through the month of August, but if I don't, I did have quite a good harvest from them and intend on trying some new ideas next year with them. From this vantage point, you get another look at how tall the sunflowers actually are, and also how they are all tilted. And again, that's due to partially the winds, but also they probably need to be staked up, so it's something I have to remember for next year to stake, because I've never had sunflowers this tall before. And in this patch here, what's the remains of the 1 or the 2 cushaw? No, it's the 1, sorry. So 1 cushaw plant, I pulled all the fruit off of that. It gave me 4 very large cushaw. And this one has 3 cushaw on it. And there was a lot of dieback in the center. And this is all that's left of the plant at this point. And lastly, moving to the pumpkin bed. Again, a lot of leaf dieback in the pumpkin bed. A lot to the heat, the leaves got crispy. A lot to mildew. But it looks like the pumpkin plant is trying to still survive. I've got a lot of different main vine shoots growing up the trellis. I don't know why some pumpkins grow orange so fast like this, and then some go super slow and start slowly turning orange over time. These 2 down here are the same way. They are taking their time and turning colors over here behind the cushaw. And lastly, the peach trees. So if you look at the fruit on the peach tree, you'll notice they're spotted and they're kind of undersized. Some are getting their color, but most are not. They're really hard. This was my first year with peaches. I had never attempted a fruit tree before. Well, that's a lie. I do have my orange trees, but I never attempted a peach tree before. So I think I need to do a little bit more research on the peach trees to determine what I need to do, because it's clear the plant is healthy and it's doing well. There's a lantern bug above you, so just be careful so it doesn't fly in your face. So I'm gonna have to remove all of these. Just make sure the plant gets through the winter, and then do some research over the winter. Are you focused in on it?
I'm trying to.
Did it fly away?
No, I can see it. I just can't see it in here. Okay, got it.
And one last bit of information. Again, in New Jersey, I don't know if other states are experiencing this, but the spotted lanternfly is a pest that attacks your garden crops and really all types of crops. And it is invasive, and there isn't a natural predator in the U.S. to this bug at this time. So if you see one of these, kill it. That is what the state of New Jersey is saying. We are under quarantine for this bug. They are everywhere. So do your part and kill it. But that ends my garden tour for today. I wish you happy